Okay. Photographers in front, as swiftly as you can, please. Photographe devant. Dès que vous pouvez, soyez assez gentil de vous mettre sur les côtés, de façon à ce que les télévisions derrière vous puissent travailler et vos collègues confrères aussi. Photographers, please. Step to the side. Thank you very much. Bonsoir à tous et bienvenue à la
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the press conference of the jury after the award ceremony.
For the jury press conference after the award ceremony, et je vais vous présenter les personnes qui sont à ce podium que vous avez rencontré le premier jour.
I'm going to introduce the people at the rostrum.
Here with us today that you met on the first day. Starting from my far left, commençant par mon extrême gauche. Producer, director, producteur, réalisateur Guillermo del Toro. À côté de lui, next to him, auteur, interprète, compositeur, songwriter and singer Rokia Traoré. Next to her, à côté d'elle, actor Jake Gyllenhaal. À côté de lui, next to him, actrice, réalisateur Sophie Marceau. Skip the two in the middle, I'll get back to them momentarily. Actrice Sienna Miller. Acteur, réalisateur et bien plus, and much more, Xavier Dolan. Actrice, Rossi de Palma. In the middle, of course, Joel and Ethan Cohen, the presidents of the jury. Nous allons prendre des questions qui viennent, bien entendu, de vous, mais aussi des questions que nous avons reçues par Internet et par les réseaux sociaux. We'll take questions
from the social networks and the internet.
Via Facebook, Twitter, and other social networks. And actually, la première question, I'll switch to English, more convenient for you guys. I'll switch to English, and the first question might be coming from Junk Tokyo from via Twitter. Can appointed two persons to the head of the jury for the first time. Did the presidents exercise their voting rights separately?
Oh, did we vote separately? Yes,
yes.
We did. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, a segue to that is you're very well known to finish each other's sentences throughout your career, with us at least. Did you ever disagree with each other during the... Okay.
If he says yes, I'm going to say no.
And another question coming from Ali Benzeki on Facebook. When it came to the Palme d'Or choice, was it a hard choice or a fairly swift consensus among the members of the jury? And this is a question that is addressed to all the entire jury.
It was swift. Everybody had an enthusiasm for it to some degree or another. We all thought it was a very beautiful movie. We're different people. Some people had greater enthusiasms for other things or lesser, but in terms of this movie, everybody had some level of excitement and enthusiasm, some high level of excitement and enthusiasm for it.
Anybody else on the jury would concur? Guillermo?
We concur.
We concur.
Sí, señor.
Okay, then we take the first question here.
Yes, Jessica Kong from China TV Taiwan. Quite a few film critics think Assassin deserve the Palme d'Or because of sheer aesthetic achievement. But at the end, he didn't get it. Was it because the story is simply too difficult to understand, or was it because the cultural barrier Thank you.
No, I don't think it was either of those things. And there was also a lot of enthusiasm in the jury for that movie. We thought it was a great movie and beautifully directed movie, and that's why we gave it the prize for direction, which is, you know, in many ways inseparable from a sort of overall aesthetic prize for a movie in some sense. No, I don't think it's I don't think it's that at all. I mean, you mentioned film critics, but this, as we've said many times, this isn't a jury of film critics. This is a jury of artists who are sort of looking at the work and deciding what to celebrate in each work. And so that may account for the
There might
questions.
There might be a lot of questions along those lines about why some movies didn't get the top prize, or indeed any prize. It just in every case, actually certainly in most cases, it's just because you can't give the top prize to every movie, obviously, or even any prize to all the movies that all of us liked or that some of us liked. So that's the nature of the thing.
It's a good prize. It's a good prize.
Were there films, this is also a question from Social Network, were there films that you felt you needed to see twice?
Yes. Yeah.
There
Okay.
are films, yes. I think there are many films that I'm looking forward to seeing again. We were seeing 2 and sometimes 3 movies a day, so it was a little bit hard to double up on all of the movies we may have wanted to see twice. That I think we'll have to wait for future viewings, at least up from my point of view. But that's what it was like during the festival. But yes, absolutely.
Anybody else from the jury?
Yes, I felt like I wanted to see some movies twice, not because I didn't catch what I need to do my work as a member of the jury, but because watching 2 movies per day, that's what I did for concerning myself, is enough to give my opinion as a member of the jury. But then I would like to go and watch these movies as just someone who is part of the audience. And yes, for myself, because working here, it was like working. I had to be focused on so many things that I would like to experience these movies just in a venue as part of the audience.
Sienna?
Yeah, I can think of several films that I can't wait to see again. And I think that's a really good point, to be able to watch them purely as an audience member and not with an objective of kind of having a strong opinion either way, but just to absorb them. But we have seen some extraordinary films over the past 12 days, and I think all feel very enriched by that experience.
Sophie?
I would say something similar. Once the festival is over, I will enjoy seeing some of the films again. All of the films that received awards and all the films that were screened here were films that we enjoyed and appreciated. I would say something similar as well. Of course, I would like to see some films again once the festival is over, when I won't have to judge the film. Now I'm used to seeing 2 films a day.
Because I don't want to lose this habitude.
I also think that some films are appreciated in a different way. Sometimes you appreciate a film because the images are very powerful, quite violent. Other films need longer to assimilate and enjoy.
I remember when we emerged from Son of Soul, we had a very long moment of reflection and silence. And the movie screened at the very beginning of the festival, we have never forgotten about the film, and it has fed so many reflections and conversations, and it is one of those films that slowly grows into you. Not sure about that phrasing, but anyway.
Question over here.
Hi, Roberto Schinardi, gay.it. I would like to ask, why did you split the Best Actress Award in two, especially splitting the lesbian couple? Did you think that Kate Blanchett didn't deserve a prize?
You want a three-way?
A three-way. Kate Blanchett didn't deserve the prize. And I would like to ask, too, if 3 Italian movies were considered for a prize. Thank you.
We did, yeah. We didn't split the prize further among more people simply because that isn't allowed, and there's an arbitrary nature to the split, or indeed to giving any prize among so many worthy performances. And again, it's arbitrary. It's in the nature of giving prizes. We split that prize only because those are the rules of the festival. One may split only one prize. We could have split all of them many ways.
And, you know, and we could have, we would have, of course, acknowledged actors in other movies that won prizes had you had as Ethan said, the rules of the festival allowed certain movies that win certain prizes to have multiple prizes. So it's a little bit of a chess game. And what we were trying to do was, again, acknowledge as many as possible of the sort of highlights for us.
That's strange considering in 1991 you guys got 3 major awards for Barton Fink.
Yes, but the rules are
Since
different
then.
now, and they're very specific in terms of where you can split awards, where you can award different things in addition to other prizes, and that's really what I'm talking about. So yes, when you get down to those things, I think we would all be the first people to acknowledge the fact that there were many performances in the last 12 days that we saw that we wish we could pay more attention to here. So that's really the reality.
I wanted. I'm habituated to do supporting roles, and it's a pity we don't have this category because for me. Giulia Lazzarini, the mother of Nani Moretti, deserves all the tenderness that she delivers in the film and deserves an award, but we don't have that category. That's a pity.
I think it also speaks to the sometimes the lack of roles for women, leading roles for women. Not that we had a hard. I mean, it doesn't take away anything from the women we have decided to celebrate, but we did have, we did realize that there were very few leading ladies, and it makes the job a little more tricky, I guess.
Question over there.
Bonsoir. Good evening. Agence France Presse. I'd like to know whether the painful state of immigration in Europe, where every year thousands of people drown in the Mediterranean, made you choose the film you did for the Golden Palm. The Italian cinema was well represented in the competition. There were 3 films. Yet not a single received a prize. How did you view the Italian films among the jury?
Well, you know, in a different mix of movies showed to a different mix of people, things would have ended up differently. You know, we had, again, enthusiasm for more movies than we were able to recognize. It's just, again, the nature of the exercise.
Et oui, on n'a pas pensé spécialement à la
We
question
didn't
de
think
l'immigration.
particularly about immigration as an
C'est
issue.
vrai que nous n'avons jamais
It's
parlé
true
de
that we
cinéma
never
de réalisateurs d'un
talked
pays précis.
about the
C'était du cinéma,
films
des films qu'on
typical
voyait,
of a
et
given
on n'a pas
country.
pris en considération
What we did
le
was
fait
to
que
watch just
tel
the
nombre de
film.
films viennent de tel pays, donc il
There were a
faut
certain
appuyer.
number of films from a
C'était
certain number of
vraiment
countries,
selon,
but there was no quota
des
system.
choix très difficiles à faire,
The choices were very
mais en
difficult to
même temps, il
make.
fallait choisir
At the same time, we did have to choose from among the films selected. That's how things worked. The issue of immigration, per se, was not something we actually discussed specifically. It's true that you see this in the Audiard film, all these people in the streets. You wonder where they come from. It's real cinema, and the topic touched us deeply. The film is extremely well done. It was moving to see these people living in various difficult and precarious circumstances. You wonder what happens in these people's lives. And as you said, we feel deeply concerned by what's happening in the Mediterranean.
It's artificial to try to divide our experience in only nationalities, because we were also giving prizes to filmmakers that are starting, actors that are well into their careers. So, the divisions are not felt like that inside the jury, and competition is imperfect, and the results are imperfect, but they represent the best that we could do in trying to say these movies struck us in a special way.
Question over here.
Hi, Jason Gorber from Cineplex and Twitch Film. First of all, congratulations, you guys survived. Thank you. I'm just wondering, the top three films went to films that roughly have genre elements. They have a mix of action and they have a mix of art. I'm wondering if you can talk about, picking up on Xavier's point.
Can you start over? Because I just couldn't hear you. There was a lot of chatter. And
The three films, if you look at Assassin, if you look at Son of Saul, and if you look at Deepan, they have both genre elements and artistic elements. And the combination of those three are quite remarkable that this jury chose that. I'm wondering, picking up on Xavier's point, if you could tell us one moment during this jury process when you left a film and felt energized, felt that moment of cinematic discovery that you sort of took with you through the rest of the festival.
For me, I had a very, very strong and deeply emotional response to Sophia, Son of Saul. Such a delicate subject matter, morally really complicated to attempt. And I don't know that I've ever seen anything that was so successful about that subject in terms of how much I felt, how much we got from this perspective of one man, but how little we saw, and yet I was really in that world. I thought it was an extraordinary achievement as a first film, breathtaking. I loved the actor. So for me, that was something that I really clung to and shook me very deeply.
I would say that in Deepan, there's this idea that runs through it that was pretty invigorating for me, where there are essentially three strangers who become a family. And over the course of 2 hours, it's relatively seamless to watch three strangers forced to, travel to a foreign land, essentially learn to love each other, which is something I've never really seen done in the way that it's done in that film. And that was invigorating, walking out seeing a concept done that I thought could be impossible, and hopefully isn't in life, but definitely in film.
Question here and lady here.
Hi, Salvador Franco from Mexico. This question is for all the members, starting with Guillermo del Toro. I want to know, what did you surprise you the most or touch you the most about the screenplay from Michel Franco's movie Chronic?
Well, I think that what was beautiful about the script for me is that it opens a myriad of possibilities to a man that is basically a blank. A man that is a blank piece of humanity that has been shocked out of existence by a loss. And he presents you with different ways people interpret him, and different ways in which he recreates himself as a character. He reinvents himself as an architect. He reinvents himself as a husband. So he's a remarkable piece of material for an actor to interpret, of course, but it's also a beautiful way of talking about death or the lack of life and the urgency that he has, which is not dramatized in a melodramatic way. is dramatized with a great nobility and great paucity and beautifully controlled rhythm and performance. So there were many, many, many things to admire, but those are, I think, some of the salient ones. And when you tackle a subject that is that big, and if you tackle it in a big way, it can immediately become low-hanging fruit or super melodrama. And he really showed a restraint and an intelligence, and the multiplicity of ways people look at him and pour things onto him. Why is he doing this? He must be abusing someone. He must be doing something wrong at night. He must be, and the reality is simpler, more terse, and far more painful in many ways.
I would just like to add to that too, that the concept of assisted suicide is one that's an interesting one, and one that should be brought into the conversation. And he obviously does it with this film, and it's a obviously very complicated subject to tackle, and very different, sets itself apart from many of the films in competition.
The structure was very rigorous too. I think we admired how the script was constructed, and how it was, how the story was told. With a lot of ambiguity, but a lot of precision, and I personally admired that.
Question here.
Chaz, excuse me, Chaz Ebert from Chicago. Did your duty as honorary film critics at this festival, and I know you said that you weren't film critics, but you are honorary film critics, because film critics also celebrate cinema. Will that help you in your next movies, whether I'm talking to the actors as well as the directors, in your direction of a movie because you focused on films a certain way here, or in your roles as actors? Just as my husband, Roger Ebert, said that he had to become a student of cinematography, of screenwriting, and of acting, of the whole thing, and that made him a better film critic.
Mm-hmm. I want to answer you. I'm shooting a movie in 24 hours. Such is life. I have never experienced something like this. Never have I discussed movies with such depth, but generosity and emotion, and with such intelligent company. It has, for me, transformed the way, not that I will be, it's not that it will change me as an artist, but it will change me as a human being, reflecting on what movies are, on what a director wants to tell you to begin with, and how he succeeds to tell his story or not. And that is extremely important. And we have discussed the movies extensively. I mean, and I realize that, we often think as filmmakers, no one will notice that. That will go unnoticed. Nothing goes unnoticed. We discussed every single thing of every single film. And I am amazed by, I feel very, I somehow feel like a better person.
Well, I was going to say, one
you're
response.
You're not, Xavier. You're not a
whether or not an experience like this changes you as a filmmaker, as an artist, who knows? It remains to be seen, I guess. We'll see what we do in the future. But it certainly, I think, it does, of course, to the extent that Xavi is talking about, where any experience as intense as this changes your life and your perspective, and that affects what you do that way. But one thing that seems clear to me is that this experience certainly, I think, does change your perspective as a movie watcher. As someone that having to see this many movies this intensely, this often, and then going in and discussing them with a group like this, I think profoundly changes your perspective as an audience member, and in a very, very positive way. I don't know about the rest of it, but I feel confident of that.
Just this experience of watching 2 films a day is amazing. Every day I became a little bit more neutral. I stood back from my life, the way I am, in order each time to be surprised, discover the film, live in an abstract world that became reality. And that was wonderful when it came to judging a film, because you're very receptive as a result. One soaks up what moves one, and that's very human. We all have considerable experience of the cinema. We remember films that really struck me. It was a very worthwhile experience. I have the impression that as the days went by, I was more and more neutral.
I knew it before, but I realized how difficult it is to make a good movie. Because even if you put your heart in all the good, everything there, perhaps magic is not coming into the rendezvous. You know what I mean? Something happens to the clue of magic, puts all the film together, no? And it's very, very difficult, very hard, and I learned a lot, and now I appreciate it much more. It was making love to cinema all day.
How do you do that?
Grandissimo Federico. Grandissimo Federico Xinhua, can you talk about a little bit the Best Director Award and why you had taken this decision?
Yeah.
Do you
guys want to discuss?
Yeah,
the Best Director Award.
I think that the difficulty when you single something as best, the dichotomy often occurs that then people say, by definition, the rest was not, but it's not true. What we were trying we discussed many films. The awards don't represent the multiplicity of discussions that took place or the depth of the discussions that took place, but you recognize the mastery and the clarity of the intention and the achievement of the director, the clarity of his voice, the precision of his filmmaking, and how successful that work of art was according to the intentions that were posited. You don't measure it against any other form of narrative. It's a really hard job to achieve a balance in what you single in a festival, precisely because you are judging dark philosophical comedies, searing, realistic historical dramas, and so on and so forth. But we felt that this was a voice that spoke in a language and a clarity and a poetry that was exceedingly strong and that required enormous control of the medium of cinema, and achieved it.
To make Guillermo's point compactly, the movie had an identity.
Exactamente.
And I guess on this note, thank you very much for being here. I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much. Rest a tad, you deserve it.
Gracias, guapa.